Like and subscribe and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
MH370, key eyewitnesses claim they spotted flight in major rewriting of mystery. MH370 has mystified the aviation world for years, but one researcher believes he has evidence for the craft's final location with eyewitnesses to back up his research. MH370, the final search to unveil new claims this month, marked 8 years since Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 disappeared from radars not long after taking off from Kuala Lumpur en route to Beijing. What happened to the 239 people on board and the aircraft itself is unknown. Pieces of debris belonging to the Boeing 777-200ER have been found in the vicinity of the Indian Ocean. The first scraps were discovered on some islands just off the coast of Africa in July 2015. Rather than offer hope, the materials have only prompted further questions and theories about what exactly happened. Many amateur investigators have dedicated their lives to cracking the mystery of MH370, often spending years scrutinizing every tiny scrap of detail. Sergio Cavaiuolo, a systems engineer from Australia, this month published a research paper which claims to pinpoint the exact location of the plane and what happened to it. In it, he states that relying on science alone has not and cannot solve this mystery, not without reconciling the science with the human factors contribution. Real people. A number of key eyewitnesses that caught a glimpse of flight MH370 at various moments in time during its last tragic flight. Mr. Cavaioulo goes on to set out, using data, information, and clues, what he calls pieces of the puzzle, to determine where MH370 lies. Perhaps the most interesting aspect of his research is the eyewitness accounts. A number of people have claimed to have spotted MH370 on its course, mostly from the Maldives, but their testimonies have largely been forgotten. Mr. Cavaioulo claims that the eyewitnesses he draws on corroborate Inmarsat satellite data and flight path tracks which have previously been ignored. British satellite telecommunications company Inmarsat has relevant data obtained by its satellite 3F1, which communicated with MH370's satcom during its final hours. This data has allowed investigators to map out potential routes MH370 took after it flew off course. Drawing from a reconstructed flight path, Mr. Cavaiuolo writes, it shows that the Inmarsat satellite data and flight path track of MH370 corroborates several key eyewitness sightings that caught a glimpse of MH370 during its flight, including Miss Kate T's sighting of MH370 in the northwest of the Tip of Sumatra, and later, further west, the eyewitness sightings of MH370 having made it to the Maldives. The last two handshakes in the Inmarsat satellite data, Ref1, that occurred at times 0011 and 0019 UTC/8 March 2014, produce HRTT rings P6 and P7, the correct 7th arcade, respectively. This places MH370, at that time, nowhere near the southern Indian Ocean, SIO, but actually in the northwest Indian Ocean, NWIO, somewhere in the equatorial region below the tip of India and near the Maldives. The orange flight path track in Figure 13 extrapolates the path of MH370 from where it was at 019 UTC, somewhere on the P7 HRTT ring, the 7th arcade, to the South Central Atolls region of the Maldives where MH370 was seen, by the first group of Maldivian eyewitnesses, inbound at 1:15 UTC, 6:15 AM local time, just after sunrise, over the island of Kudahuvadhoo in the Dhaalu Atoll. Later on, through a number of diagrams, he argues that MH370 veered off its course and headed west, flying over a key and across the northern Indian Ocean and into the Maldives after passing islands around the north-northeastern tip of Sumatra, possibly tracking along its northeastern coastline inside the Malacca Strait. He says eyewitnesses in the Maldives line up with the new data. Figure 14 zooms into the end of the flight path track of Figure 13 and picks up the trail of MH370 inbound into the Maldives and reconstructs the path of the plane over the islands based on the eyewitness observations as it flew over. These Maldivian sightings of MH370, describing the maneuvers of the plane, reaffirms that MH370 was still being actively flown. In fact, a pilot flying the plane is the only possible way that MH370 was able to make it to the Maldives at the time it arrived there, at 6:15 a.m. local time just after sunrise, 01:15 UTC/8 of March 2014. Referring to Figure 9, the first group of Maldivian eyewitnesses were on the island of Kudahuvadhoo, Dhaalu Atoll, and observed MH370 approach from the northwest of the island at 6:15 a.m. local time, just after sunrise, in low and level flight, doors and windows clearly visible, confirming also the Malaysia Airlines red and blue stripes below the windows. It was very big and very loud, and as it passed over the island, it banked, turned, and headed towards the southern tip of the Maldives. Shortly afterwards on the adjacent